Welcome back to Keeping BZ, the show where Zach and I sort of do a show and tell format of showing each other a game as we talk in a podcast-like format. And we're taking a look at another Next Fest Steam release, which is the demo for the 3D platformer action RPG Fading Skies, which is going to get a Kickstarter in the summer. But for now, they got a demo to sort of spike up interest. Played a bit of this one, really like it, and I'm going to show off some of it here. So we can skip over to more action, but I'm just going to do the full demo itself, just so you can get a full idea, because I think the opening of the game does a good job kind of going into its atmosphere. Yeah, this is an interesting demo where they actually cut out part of the game and the cutscenes, so that way they don't spoil the story for the full game. So you'll get like little notices when they've cut out story bits.
Okay, one thing I've always thought about doing if I ever like release a demo or some kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
They can tell us what the heck is going on.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going quiet for the voice acting. But one thing I've always thought about doing is just doing like making an abridged version of my own game. Like you've seen Dragon Ball Z Abridged, I believe.
Of course, yeah.
Just doing something like that with my game, where I just super hyper abridge everything. Without, like, really spoiling the story, of course. But just giving a general idea, while also, like, having the game kind of make fun of itself. Or another thing I've thought about doing is, like, if I had an original plan for the plot, and then decide to do something different, I might use the original plan for the plot for, like, the demo or something to, like, show it off.
Right.
So that way, yeah. Like, this game, it just doesn't spoil the story completely.
There's some cutscenes in here, but yeah, they leave out a lot of context.
Yeah, you better run.
This art style is very good.
Yeah, like, the overall texture work and details remind me a lot of the same kind of engines and textures they would do back in the PS2 era, but more detailed.
Wait.
Like, it has that kind of smoothness, almost textureless quality. Like, her model kind of reminds me a bit of, like, the first Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, I can see that.
Though I find her and her little dragon buddy more likable than Jak and Daxter, which I guess is a hot take. We could fight these enemies, but yeah, she lets us know that we don't have a sword yet to fight back with, so we gotta keep moving first. That's our checkpoint.
Yeah, I think I'll take another way.
And I quite like both the voice acting and the writing of the lead. She reacts in a very natural way to everything that's going on, and not so much always like exactly like the player, but she definitely reacts in a way that always is likable or interesting. The Dragon Buddy doesn't talk, he just kind of makes, you know, little cute critter sounds. But it seems to be that he can talk and she is, like, understanding him. So this game stood out to me on Steam just because I really liked the art style, and when I heard classic 3D platformer with action RPG elements, that sounded like something 100% in my ballpark, because I love classic 3D platformers, and I love action RPGs. Especially from the PS2 era, there's a lot of really great platformers back then.
Show off.
I love the music, too, in this game.
I
It just has, like, a good vibe.
In my opinion, and I'm probably just saying this because I grew up in the era, but, you know, I don't care if it's nostalgic bias or not. I think the PS2 era was, like, the best era for games, mostly just because of how much more willing people were to experiment back then. You got so many wild ideas, so many concepts to make you go, why? But then sometimes it would turn out really good.
And, I mean, even for 3D platformers, too, I felt like that was an era where there was a little more experimentation going on and making really interesting ones, because in the PS1 era, they were still trying to figure things out, because that was when they were first starting out. So, I mean, just getting the controls and camera down were hard enough on their own. But when you get into stuff like the PS2 era, where you got Sly and you got the Ratchet and Clank games, you got a lot of games that are... They got the controls and everything else down. Now it's about like forming a personality and making each one feel distinct in a way that, isn't hampered by other aspects of the design like it would be in the older games. They just have a lot more personality and they're a lot more interesting. I'm a fan of Sly Cooper especially. I love how it handled. I really liked how its handling of how open worlds work in the second and third games. Especially nowadays when open worlds are just so blasé and so constant and daunting at all times.
Whoa. Is this thing actually a key?
Yeah, I believe we talked about the keeping busy before, but open worlds are... Like, they're cool, but when every game is an open world, it's exhausting.
When the open world feels arbitrary, that's when I feel it's at its worst. And it feels like a lot of games have that kind of design. Like, it's an expectation that it would cost this much money, you have to be this big. But this game is described on the Steam page as open, but it feels more like an openness in a way that, makes sense for a 3D platformer, where the environments are open, but there's a lot of things to do in them that just involve navigating the environment using your abilities.
And your friends are here to help? Hey, wait! Why is everyone running away from me today? Well, no idea what's behind that gate, but it's the best shot we got right now. Let's go catch us some ghosties.
So we got to go find those ghosts and then get their parts back so we can get inside that, whatever that strange temple is. So each ghost is actually neat because they're their own little puzzles. Like this one, we just got to chase him down.
Hey, don't just... Huh.
Ah, okay. I see what's going on. I'm picking up.
That was weird. But it did charge up the amulet, so we're on the right track.
And this one will fly away and then turn invisible, and you just got to identify it by the little beads that it leaves behind. So those little things I'm collecting, they basically act as your upgrade currency. And you'll notice how much upgrade currency you have by the little meter on the back of Rin's little belt thing there. Depending on how many of those bars are filled up, that'll let you know how much points you have to spend on an upgrade. And if one of those bars is at least filled up, you have one upgrade point you can use. Which is basically where the action RPG system comes in. And I always like that when games do that, where the game mechanic is integrated into the design of the character instead of being like a bar on the screen. Like there's pretty much the hub only shows up in this game when it needs to be there to let you know that you've collected something.
Yeah, it's diegetic, I believe the fancy term for it is.
Yeah. Oh, geez. I wasn't far away enough. So we have to get to that ghost over there. So we got to navigate a bunch of platforming to get over there so that we can get to it. And so Rin doesn't have like a double jump or anything. She just has a normal, simple jump. But if you get to the side of a ledge, she'll climb on basically anything. Later on, we may get abilities that'll increase our movement, being a 3D platformer and all. Actually, yeah, let's open up the upgrade menu here and see what I can do. Okay, so I do want to get that. So that allows us... You may have seen me trying to use a power where she, like, forms a little ball of energy in her hand. I was doing that because when I played this game earlier, I was able to do this, and I forgot you have to actually unlock it as an upgrade. So you can open this up. and grab collectibles from afar. And the last ghost.
Thanks, Ghosty.
So this game might seem, like, yeah, like kids might enjoy this. It seems like it has a nice, very family-friendly atmosphere and all that. This game gets deceptively challenging the deeper you get into it. Even in this demo,
Like we're good to go?
there's some pretty difficult fights in it.
You're absolutely right. I did do a good job.
So now we can finally use our amulet.
Let's give this another shot.
And this also reminded me of Jak and Daxter. That there's these like weird metal temple things in this organic nature environment that you go down into.
Don't worry.
Yeah, that does have a very Jak and Daxter inspired feel to it.
And just like Jak and Daxter, Zach, there's no loading screens. You jump into these things, and then it does like this elevator type loading screen thing where you see the world move around you as you're waiting for the level to open up. And look at this place.
What is this place?
So these basically act for two reasons. One, we gain brand new abilities for our character inside of these underground space temples, and we also use them as a way of, as a tutorial to train those abilities. And you have to do little platforming challenges to navigate your way to each side of it.
I assume if she falls, she'll just warp to a safe place.
Yeah, she'll warp to this checkpoint right here.
Okay.
So you gotta be very careful. When you see it starting to fade away, that's when you jump. But it's pretty forgiving. This has a time limit, so we gotta be quick. And that's the last one. And then a little extra area opens up over here. So coming up, we should have our new ability.
Any idea what we're looking at? Right. Well, maybe if I just... Ow. Guess that's not it, huh?
Oh, she even has pointed ears like a Jak and Daxter character. I just now noticed that.
Yep. Love the track that plays during this sequence.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? You know how dangerous that is.
Maybe don't sneak up on me then?
Training started 10 minutes ago. Let's go.
Sorry, not interested.
Enough with your selfishness. You're coming with me, now.
Oh, you wanna play?
The Academy is wasting their time on you. No matter how special your ability may be, it's worthless if you refuse to learn how to yield it.
Oh yeah?
How? How can a failure like you beat me?
Look, I just want them to leave me out of this.
It's not your choice to make.
Did you see all that? Must have been my past, huh? Kinda expected Faye and I to be on better terms than that. Anyway, I think I've already had about enough of this place. Let's see if we can find a way out of here.
And now we have a new thing to use, but how do we do this? I mean, we can't just step on it, right?
These things again. Getting past them without a weapon won't be easy. Too bad I can't just... Whoa. It actually worked.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting it to be RB. I was expecting it to be X.
So did I. But no, and there is a reason that we'll see once we unlock our other ability here. So yeah, now we can dodge out of enemy attacks.
Get to work.
Hold it down to do a charge attack. And how are we going to do this one? Well, if we remember from that cutscene, she had a bow and arrow.
Bullseye.
Our charge attack can break shields. Remember that when we're facing enemies. This guy has a shield because this enemy is supplying it to him, so we got to destroy this enemy first. Thankfully, they don't have too much health. Now she has no shield to supply that enemy, and we can take it down. Yeah, it's saying we can hit this button to replenish our shield. We don't have to, though, because we have full health because we didn't take a hit there. But yeah, that's how you would refill your health. You have little shields that you can then use to... And you might notice there's only one there on the... Well, I guess it's not showing up now that we have no HUD, but... On the bottom left of the screen, there's that little circle that signifies how many charges we can use to like re-heal our health, and we'll get more as we get deeper into the game.
It's pretty much your equivalent to Estus flasks.
Basically, though, this game is nothing like Dark Souls, thankfully. When we get to the first boss, which is probably where I'll end the video, that's where it does get a little tricky. But I find the enemy designs much more fair and not kind of weighed so far against you like some of the fights in Dark Souls. Here, it's challenging, but in a way that I do find manageable. Instead of having to die over and over again. Though I did really appreciate that when I did die... So death is kind of canon in game. Like, she has like an amulet thing that allows her to warp back to a save point whenever she gets taken out. So she is aware that she died, and when she gets warped back to a save point, she'll either like give a hint about the boss, or she'll just just have a line of dialogue, just like, oh man, well at least I know what to do this time. And I really like that kind of thing where death isn't just like. A non-canon failure state. It is just, the character is aware that it happened. I really appreciate that because it adds more immersion to just the game. I just love the feel of this game. I love the atmosphere. I love the art design, especially of this area. I love the music too. It just allows you it feels cozy. I could just lay into this game very easily and just feel good.
Those rings.
Feeling good playing a video game? I've never heard this concept.
Yes, the best video game of all time, The Last of Us Part 2. I must have constant suffering being injected at me at all times.
Stuff.
For disclaimer, I'm actually one of those people that enjoyed... I mean, okay, I enjoy The Last of Us Part 2. It's a very flawed game, though, but I don't hate it sometimes an irrational level like some do. But it definitely has its problems, and if I'm going to just sit down and play a game, I'm going to play this. I have to be in a mood to play something like Last of Us. Alright, let's add some more damage to our weapon.
I'm sorry, I can't play any video game unless I have to spend like 3 hours in one part. Otherwise, am I really gaming?
Yeah.
That was fun.
It's actually something I've always wanted to discuss on Keeping Busy before. Is challenge super necessary? I don't know why I started thinking about that recently. It's been on my mind for the past week.
Further than we were before.
Because you always hear about a lot of gamers complaining about things being too easy, too dumbed down, and then Dark Souls and Elden Ring, they all get applauded for being so incredibly difficult. And I do still enjoy those games, and the difficulty does help that world.
No idea what's going on.
But I think it's a bit reductive, I think is the word I want to say. To just say, oh, every game must have a certain amount of challenge or it can be no good.
I feel like you can. I mean, there's a place for cozy games and easier games that are just meant to be taken in and enjoying the atmosphere and experienced and not just have to be constantly beating your head against the wall of the difficulty. I think I do prefer something like this game where there is these quiet moments of just getting to explore this world and take it all in and just love the atmosphere. But then there's also moments of combat that later on get much more difficult that I did enjoy just because of having to figure out the enemy moves. And the bosses in this game are really designed to make you work with what you've learned about controlling the character so far and all of her abilities. And I appreciate that kind of stuff. And I guess Dark Souls does make you do that to an extent, but Dark Souls, the odds are always, it's always not in your favor. The game's always trying to trick you. And I enjoyed that in the first Dark Souls, but I realized as I tried to play more of those From Software games that it's not a gameplay type that I find personally sustainable for myself. I think it's a bit much. Uh-oh.
Crap!
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, scram! Hey, you okay?
Oh, no.
I know it's Dark Cat.
Not you too.
This really is a PS2 game. It has a dark version.
Yeah, it's true. Back in that era, you had the Dark Prince and Prince of Persia, The Two Thrones, Dark Jack and Jack 2. That was definitely a thing back then for whatever reason. You needed the dark version. Kratos, it was the era of Kratos, a character that would just scream and destroy things. So that was seen as cool.
Nowadays he screams and destroys things, but he is also dad.
Yes.
I still need to play Ragnarok at some point.
Yeah, same with me. So this is basically just about trying to dodge around these arrows. Uh-oh. Ow.
Stop shooting at us already!
Yeah, I agree. Where is he? Oh, he's over there now. No. Phew. Okay.
I will say there was a time period where I didn't really get to describe it how old me would have described it, games that aren't really games.
Sure.
Or, like, some people might describe them as cozy games, or, like, even the modern mascot horror. I just had a natural distaste for them for the longest time, but I've started calming down about it. I could see how people can just enjoy the atmosphere of a game, but I've always been even to this day, I've always been pretty much a gameplay-centric person. I enjoy a good story in a game, too, of course. It can make the gameplay a lot more satisfying, and I've definitely beaten games I thought were too easy, but I've enjoyed the story so much that I didn't mind. But generally, I like engaging, maybe not exactly like super thoughtful, super high IQ gameplay, but something that makes me think. That's generally why I like turn-based RPGs, for example.
Right. I mean, there's definitely a clear difference between what Zach and I enjoy in something. I'm someone that did like genuinely really love playing the game Gone Home, which is a game where there's no combat, there's no real puzzles. It's just you're exploring a place and just reading all the notes around, looking at all the imagery of the details, and just taking in and like discovering the world for yourself and making your own assumptions about how it became that way. And yeah, it's a walking simulator, which is a term that became, derogatory as time went on and more games, we're just not as good at doing that format. But I truly do believe that when it's done well, it's a really cozy, really beautiful experience if the writing is strong. And Gone Home was an example of that. But I also could understand why for some people that game isn't for them, because they want to be a little more active in the environment. And this is definitely more my taste in some ways, because I like the combat, I like the feel of everything. I like being able to just interact with the environment more. But that isn't to say that there isn't merit to a game like Gone Home. I really enjoy that game's story and world, and it has like a nostalgic vibe to it, even though you're playing as a character that's kind of reliving their own nostalgia. You sort of feel their nostalgia through them. I loved all of that. But, not for everybody, and I know that for Zach, he needs, systems and other things to engage with to keep him focused and not just, reading things.
Yeah, I don't mind reading, like, a couple things, but I will say, though, one of the... I don't know, I guess this one can kind of technically count as cozy. I did recently watch somebody do a playthrough of Home Safety Hotline, which a lot of it generally seems like something I wouldn't really like, because it's both focused on horror, it's analog horror, and then also... There's not a whole lot of gameplay to it, but for me, I felt like that one had just enough gameplay. Even though it was super simple, I really like the concept of it, where you work for a hotline, people will call you, and then they'll describe an issue they're having, and then you have to prescribe an answer based on their issue. And at first, it's more mundane stuff. They might have bed bugs, they might have termites, carpenter ants, gophers. And then later on, you get to more mystical, like fairy-inspired creatures, like these things called hobs, where they generally aren't a nuisance, but if you bother them too much, they turn into a big 6 to 7 foot monster that could injure or even kill you if you don't placate them.
Ouch.
I don't think a game needs to be super deep in gameplay. I mean, I do kind of prefer when it's a bit deep, but I like Home Safety Hotline because it's simple, and when I was just like guessing along with the person playing it, I was able to get, I'd say, almost all except 2 correct. But just working out that puzzle, I really liked.
Oh, yeah, that downward attack, that AoE just does so much range. I always underestimate it. Okay, yeah, his attacks get more and more aggressive as his health goes down. No, this boss gave me a lot of trouble when I first played this demo earlier today. Oh, God.
I'm assuming your shield recharges at each checkpoint?
Yeah, it's kind of like Dark Souls in the sense that your shields recharge at each checkpoint, and when you die, you get sent back there and it refills your health and your shields. Almost got him. Oh boy.
I see a purple meter as well, and it did look like when you do the charge attack, one of the bars will drain. I assume that's something kind of like stamina, but also not entirely. Probably more like maybe a magic meter, I'm guessing.
Right. So, we'll get more magic-type abilities that will drain that meter, but for now, yeah, it's primarily for our charge attacks, so that way we can't just constantly use it. Which, to be fair, there's a bit of a wind-up to it, so you can't anyway. But we'll get some other abilities, mostly platforming and movement abilities, that you can only use for a certain amount of that meter.
Hey there.
And then it recharges.
You're welcome. You should head back home. This forest isn't safe for you guys right now. And stay away from those crystals!
And what time are we looking at, Zach?
Okay, let's see what this one has in store for us.
We are at 32 minutes.
Okay, and obviously we're going to cut out some stuff at the beginning, so I'm just going to do this quick tutorial section here, and then we should be done.
That weird Mako energy.
I do want to show off the move you get here. It's really cool.
Feels like you're a little more energized.
All right.
I wonder who built these places.
So now we got to use our bow and our sword for the puzzles in this area to unlock even more new moves. Okay, maybe not over there.
Oh, okay. I was about to ask if these are on a timer, but no, I think I get it. You light one up, and then all the adjacent ones change. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, so you have to jump quick or that one's going to fall out underneath you. Which messed me up the first time I tried to do that one. Here we are. Puzzle you've probably seen before. How do I want to do this? Yeah, do that, and then do that.
Oh, oh, never mind. That was really easy. I was going to say, I usually really dislike those light-up puzzles.
For some reason, the first one I think of is the one you have to use to get into the final egg level of Sonic Adventure. There's like a little light puzzle you have to do to get inside that door, and it always tripped me up as a kid.
I generally think of the one in Battle for Bikini Bottom, where you're playing as Patrick and have to throw the watermelon.
Yeah.
That one took me forever as a kid. Probably still take me forever now. Puzzles like that, I'm very bad at that kind of stuff.
No, but I think this is balanced just right.
Oh yeah, that light up puzzle was super easy.
Well, I also did it before, so I sort of knew the pattern that, you know, when you hit, it affects the ones directly next to it.
Huh. You think it's broken?
So, we would get another flashback cutscene here into Rin's past, but cutscene skipped because they don't want to spoil things before the game fully comes out. Which I respect, that they're just giving you the gameplay and you can get more details and stuff as they get deeper in. I mean, it does advertise itself on its website as a very story-heavy game, so I'm curious to see what that all entails. So yes, now we can shift by doing this.
Yep, this is pretty cool.
Okay, it's in here. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it goes up and across.
Now, I'm assuming you can only use one.
At a time, yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like, until you land.
Maybe there's a way to get more of a magic meter to use more in a row later, but yeah, for now, it's just one at a time.
I would assume that'd be a future upgrade.
Ah, here we go.
Yeah, I also respect them skipping cutscenes for the demo.
Okay. And we're going...
Especially for a game that's going to have a Kickstarter.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's... They haven't given an official launch date yet, but they said this summer. Oh, now we finally get to see what death looks like. Yep.
Pretty cool stuff, huh? If it wasn't for this bracelet, we'd be toast right about now.
Yeah, and she gives a little context as to what dying is. It's not actually dying, she's just getting warped back to a safe point. There we go. And I do like Rin's control. I do feel pretty confident whenever I do moves with her. I say that as, of course, I fall. But for the most part, I think her jump feels just right, that I usually can trust it most of the time. Especially since she grabs onto any ledge she gets near. I like her animations a lot, too. You really feel the heft of the jump. And she's putting a lot of force into it. There we go. And now we do this.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, this air dash gives me very much Doom Eternal vibes.
Oh, really? There's like a jump dash
That is
like
a good
that in that
thing.
game?
Yeah. Yep. And there's even, like, air dash puzzles where you have to do something similar to this, where you have to air dash to something that'll regenerate your air dash so you can keep doing it. Yeah, hopefully I have enough to donate to the Kickstarter whenever that starts, because I'd like to.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% going to donate once they open it up, because I would be very happy to play the full version of this, because if this is already a taste of what's to come, I think this game is awesome. I love its art style. I like it. I like the writing of its main character. I think her voice acting is good too. Like at first when I looked at the screenshots of this game, Zach, I just thought like, you know, generic homage to PS2 game. But then when you actually get into it, you feel the heart they put into it, that it just feels very just intentioned. Like they had a clear vision of what they wanted to make, and the design makes up for any issues someone may have with the aesthetic. Okay, so we can actually use the... Okay, yeah, we can actually put damage into our shifting abilities if we want. Let's see what we want to do here. Yes, I want more shield health, please. There we go. There we are.
Still no sign of anyone from the village. Right. First things first. Gotta fix up Furball and reach that third temple. And I gotta admit, I didn't really care about my past so far, but I am starting to get a little curious.
Oh, she has amnesia.
Something like that. Like I said, because of the lack of cutscenes being cut out, I'm not fully sure of what her deal is yet, but I imagine they'll get more into that when the full game is out, because...
Find a way to get back there.
So there's a thing in the menu called Story Recap, and if you look in it, okay, yeah, it shows like little bits of, oh, here's what's happened so far, and here's where you can learn more about the events from this chapter. But if you go to Chapter 1...
Summary removed, yeah.
Yeah, all this stuff that you don't know yet, because they're going to put the first chapter in the full game, but clearly she has some connections to that character we saw in that one cutscene. This is probably when she meets the dragon at some point. Somehow the world gets broken or something. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But she also seems to understand some of the characters in the village and the world, even though she has amnesia. So I'm not sure what the nature of all that is yet. But I like Rin. I like how matter-of-factly she reacts to things in the environment. I like that she's not brooding about the fact that she can't remember things. Like you saw there, she's like, I wasn't that interested in learning about my past, but that detail was kind of neat, so maybe I want to learn more about that. And I kind of appreciate that she's very nonchalant about the amnesia thing. She's just like, yeah, we'll figure this out more as we go along. For now, let's just try to take care of what we're trying to take care of in this world that we're currently in.
This guy again.
Uh-oh. And so this will then lead to our second boss against the bow and arrow guy that we fought earlier, which of course was our friend that got transformed. So when I tried this boss earlier, I was having some trouble with him because he jumps around a lot. But basically, this is a test of your shifting abilities, using the up and down shifting to navigate across the platforms to fight him. But for now, I think that'll be a pretty good showcase of what people can expect from at least the opening hour or so of Fading Skies. And if this looked cool to you, if you have nostalgia for the PS2 era of 3D platformers, if you have interest in action RPGs, and if just the aesthetic and the world and what it had to offer was appealing to you, then yeah, the Kickstarter comes out this summer, and it's on Steam if you want to try out this demo, because like I said, there's some stuff beyond here that I haven't shown off yet, so definitely take a look at it. Thanks for joining us for another installment of Keeping BZ, and join us next time for whatever else we have in store. Maybe we'll do some Steam Next Fest stuff later down the line, but I think we're going to go back to just choosing games from our old classic library of stuff we want to show. That all said, thanks for watching.